guys, I have a little project today and I thought I would just do a really quick video for a couple reasons. First off, just to show a few of my techniques for dealing with repotting pooky things, cacti of various kinds. Tongs is one of the things that I love if you're dealing with larger plants that are pretty either you don't mind damaging them, or they're pretty hardy and sturdy, not some of the softer spined ones. But for this guy just works just fine. And with this guy, I'm gonna tilt you up just to smidge it. This main mother is dying, or possibly completely dead already. I'm going to slice it open and see. But in the process of dying, it sent out a whole bunch of pups, which is awesome, as they do. So I just thought I would make a quick video of removing these pups and how I do that, and potting them up in case anyone has this happen to them. And what I'm going to do first, before I tear up the mom too much, is purposefully cut her head off and just see, I believe it's just collapsing from the inside. I had an entire pot of, it was a grouping of various cacti that all did this. I'm not exactly sure why, but if she's still somewhat healthy, then I will replant the top here. And if not, we will just discard the mama. See how nice and green this still is? So I am just gonna let this callus off, and then I'm gonna replant the top here and let her reroot. I'm not sure why she's been getting spongier and spongier and spongier, unless these guys were just at the end of their life cycle, which is also possible. All right, so for large cacti, I like using a plastic grocery bag stuffed full of newspaper, which I didn't do that. I didn't do one to show you, and then you just take and kind of use the bag as a mitt, and it's full of paper, which lets the spines go into the paper. But for this guy, he's not nearly pokey enough. These are smaller spines, and especially on the little babies, they're pretty soft at this stage. And I really like being able to feel and use my fingers and not have things super awkward. I haven't found any gardening gloves that give me enough dexterity for this. For what I like, but that doesn't mean they're not out there. It just means that I'm picky and I haven't found one that I like. So I am just using a double layer of these little medical plastic gloves, and I'm just putting 2 on each hand. And the spines will go through a little bit, but not really. And as long as you're careful, especially with these smaller ones. So I'm just going to start removing these guys. And if you can see here, you can see that they have these lovely little roots coming out of the bottom. So these guys are good and ready to be removed from the mother. And as you gently pull away on these guys, you can lean down and see where they attach to the mother plant. And I'm not sure if you can see this or not, but there's just a little kind of stem attached to the mother, and I'm just taking a really sharp knife and just gently removing that, slicing through that, and then I'm just going to pull it away. You can see the little roots coming out on these guys, and those will be planted up. I'm just going to do that all the way around. Some of these are rooted a little bit below the surface, so I got to kind of pull the dirt down just a bit before I separate them. There's number 2. Got some lovely little roots coming off there, as you can see. These guys, which I would be interested in hearing what you have to say, these guys were treated. They're treated with pesticides so that they're supposedly naturally resistant to all of the normal pests baby number 3. And I don't like them when they are interbred with pesticides. The mothers just don't seem to be as happy or last as long for me. And I am curious if anyone else has experienced that as well. If the breeding in bug resistant and pesticides and various things makes your plants a little bit more finicky for other or in other ways. They don't get the bugs, which is great, but I haven't had a lot of problems with cacti getting mealybugs, etc. anyways, so, but this guy's got a nice little root system there. Some of these are the mother's roots that are just attached to this guy. But this little root system is all his. Alrighty, almost done here. And I might be able to plant this base again also and get a new head out of it, but I'm not really interested in doing that. This is just kind of a straggler that and the bottom has shriveled up, and this guy's got great little roots coming off. And we got some smaller babies on this side here. If they don't have roots on them, the process is pretty much the same for removing them. It's ideal to leave them until they have a little bit of root formation for obvious reasons. But if you can't, if your mother is dying and you need to remove them, or just don't like them, or for some other reason need to remove them before any roots, you can see the little roots on that guy, start forming. It's pretty much the same exact process, but you need to let them callus off really well, which I will let these guys, actually most of these guys don't need to callus off because where they were joined on was so small, and they have their own roots now that they would be fine put in dry soil, which I'm probably going to do just to show you guys. But if they didn't have roots, I would just remove them like this, let the little guys callus off for a couple of days, and plant them in dry soil, and go from there. And they will root up just fine usually. But when removing any babies from any succulents, it's always nice when they have roots. You always get a better chance of survival, which is what we want. This guy's got quite a lot of little roots. All right, so I'm going to remove a little bit of the dirt here and show you what this guy's doing around the base. The mother, I don't know how, let me see if my light can, let me grab this light and move it here. All right, yep, there we go. The mother, you can see this here, around the base is just shriveling and dying back from the roots for some reason. And I've been babying her, and I thought that the whole thing might be not rotted, but more of a dry rot, because I knew this hadn't been overwatered by any means. But it doesn't seem to be rotted. I'm not sure why it is shriveling up from the root base here. You can't really see because of the dirt and spines, but it's got this just real, it's like it's collapsing. It's an accordion almost. The whole top here was significantly taller, and now it's shriveling and just slowly collapsing. And this pot of cacti all did this. And so I'm not entirely positive why. They have been sadly neglected. These were not a precious plant. They came in something, but they have been neglected, I will admit. But this guy, the center, I don't know if, yeah, maybe with a pin this will show. The center is really spongy, just really really mushy. And this is what they've all done. They've just, and it's not rot. It almost feels like aloe vera gel, which is kind of what they should feel like, but it should be a lot firmer. I'm gonna look at the top here again. And so this guy may not, the top may not survive, but a lot of times when plants know that they're on their way out, especially succulents, they start producing babies, which is great, and helps it not be quite so sad when the mother dies. Alrighty. So since these guys have nice roots, and there's very little that's cut off and attached to the mother plant that needs to callus, I'm going to go ahead and pot these guys up in some dry mix here. Tweezers are another really nice thing to have. I have a couple sets of really long tweezers that open up wide and make really great little grabbing tools if you need to. But I'm telling you, double layers of these little medical gloves can really do wonders for the cacti that aren't huge spine, you know, that aren't exceptionally pokey. And these guys, I mean, this would definitely be, these are very needle-like, and they would definitely be poking me if I did not have gloves. And even one layer of gloves, it wouldn't be awful, but it definitely wouldn't be nearly this pleasant. And it still allows me to move my fingers enough instead of like a bulky glove. Oops. Get all the dirt off and drop it right back into the dirt. And this guy, I haven't even attempted really to figure out what type this cactus is. He's been sitting out. Cacti aren't really my love. I really enjoy touching my plants. And so I prefer the ones that aren't super pokey, and so I haven't put a ton of effort into seeing what this guy was. So sorry for not having a name for you on this one. Getting the perlite and dirt out from between the spines before planting it works a lot better and is a lot easier than trying to go about it afterwards. And as with all plants, but succulents in particular, which cacti are a type of succulents, all succulent are not cacti, but all cacti are succulents. And as with all of them, they like being close together when they are rooting, especially because they share rooting hormones with each other. And it helps them grow a bit faster, which is awesome. So that's why all of these guys are going to go. This guy just needs to be a tiny bit deeper. So these guys are all going to go in a pot together until they get a little bit more established, and I will separate them before their root systems get big enough that they're going to be tangled up and, you know, overlapping each other and hard to separate. But I'll leave them together until they're a little bit more established and off of the mother plant. All right, looks like we're almost done. One more right here. This little one that's got the long root, which is awesome. Alrighty, that looks like it's all. And I am going to let this guy callus off. I'm not sure if I'll dip this end in rooting hormone or not, honestly. I'm not sure if I want to waste rooting hormone on this guy when I'm not sure he's going to make it. But either way, I will let this callus off and then just gently set him on top of some dry dirt in one of my rooting trays and see what becomes of him. You never know. Even if he doesn't root, sometimes they will send off more offshoots. So it never hurts to try if you have room. Even if you're pretty sure something is on its way out, it never hurts to give it a little bit of a go. And I will do an update on this guy if he survives and let you know and see if the sponginess was something. Sorry, this guy still has some roots up a little further than I would like, but it had a bigger root system and it's not burying quite as I want it. So I'm just going to add a little bit more around this guy. And there you go. There's a cactus C-section, I'll call it. Removing babies manually with a knife. So, all right, there's our little pot for today. These guys will go under the grow lights and probably have a little drink in a couple of days just to get their little roots going, and we'll go from there. So that's all for today. I hope you guys have a fantastic day and happy growing.